You have no idea what's possible. In place of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen!
He knows things I don't think you want to know.
I appreciate your candor.
What do you need, Lewis?
Contents of box, mummified remains. This is no doubt from...
Some actors work hard to appear threatening on screen. Cate Blanchett doesn't have to. She enters a scene, lowers her voice just slightly, and the atmosphere shifts. There's a quiet power in her presence, like she could smile while delivering a threat. Whether she's playing royalty or a ruthless villain, Blanchett owns the space with elegance and danger. She doesn't act like a villain, she becomes one. Her performances draw you in, making it impossible to look away. From fantasy realms to spy thrillers, Blanchett's villains stay with you long after the credits roll. But what exactly makes her so terrifying and so unforgettable in every dark role she takes on? Cate Blanchett doesn't play evil in the usual way. She doesn't rely on shouting or dramatic outbursts. Instead, she leans into a colder, more calculated form of menace. Her villains feel real because they believe in their own purpose. That belief gives her performances weight. You're not watching someone pretending to be bad. You're watching someone who feels completely at home in the shadows. What makes her stand out is her ability to shift from warmth to danger in a heartbeat. One moment she's regal and graceful, the next she's terrifying. Even when she's playing characters we're supposed to hate, Blanchett gives them depth, intention, and sometimes even a strange kind of charm. She understands that real power comes from stillness, from control, from knowing you're the most dangerous person in the room and not needing to prove it. When Cate Blanchett took on the role of Hela in Thor, Ragnarok, no one expected the goddess of death to steal the whole film. But from the moment she appears and casually destroys Thor's hammer like it's a toy, it's clear. This villain is on a different level. Blanchett doesn't shout or rage. She stays calm, confident, and utterly in control, like she already knows she's going to win. What could have been just another computer-generated, effects-heavy villain becomes something more. Blanchett brings Hela to life with a sense of cool cruelty. Every smirk and every slow, deliberate movement feels loaded with power. She doesn't just want to rule Asgard, she wants to tear it apart piece by piece and enjoy doing it. Even in a movie full of jokes, bright colors, and wild action scenes, Blanchett manages to shift the tone just by standing still. Her presence is so magnetic that when she's on screen, everything else fades. You feel the threat, even when she isn't raising her voice or moving quickly. It's that quiet dominance, the sense that she's in total command, that makes Hela unforgettable. She turns what could have been a typical comic book villain into a dark monarch, more Shakespeare than Marvel. And even though she only appeared in one film, Hela's shadow lingers over the MCU. That's the Blanchett effect. A single performance that changes how you see the whole story. Irina Spalko could have been a forgettable Cold War villain, but in Blanchett's hands, she becomes something much stranger and more intense. With her sharp bob, military posture, and icy stare, she plays the Soviet agent like a blend of Bond villain and theatrical mastermind. Every line she speaks feels calculated, every gesture deliberate. Her accent is clipped and cold, like every syllable could cut glass. She holds a sword like a conductor's baton, smiling like she's 3 steps ahead of everyone else. There's a sense that she enjoys the game as much as the goal. Blanchett leans just enough into the campy, over-the-top nature of the role to keep it fun, but never lets go of that eerie seriousness underneath. Irina might be chasing aliens and psychic power, but she still feels grounded, thanks to Blanchett's commitment to giving even the most outrageous characters real focus. In Hannah, Cate Blanchett dials down the flare and turns up the chill. As Marissa Wiegler, a high-ranking CIA agent hunting a genetically engineered girl, she's terrifying in a completely different way. There are no superpowers here, just cold precision. Marissa is methodical, emotionless, and disturbingly efficient. Blanchett's performance is sharp and controlled. Her southern accent is subtle, but adds an unsettling touch, a calm veneer over a relentless predator. She doesn't yell or rush. Instead, she moves like a machine, calm, deliberate, and focused on one goal. Every glance feels like a quiet threat. She doesn't need to raise her voice because the danger comes from her silence. It's a reminder that the scariest villains aren't always supernatural. Sometimes they wear tailored suits, smile politely, and never lose their cool. Blanchett makes Marissa feel less like a person and more like an algorithm with a pulse. Lou isn't your typical villain. In Ocean's 8, she's more of a stylish, morally gray mastermind. But even in this lighter heist film, Blanchett brings her signature edge. Lou is calm, clever, and effortlessly cool. The kind of partner you'd trust in a scam and maybe regret it later. She doesn't need to threaten or intimidate. Instead, there's a quiet sense that she's always holding back something, like she knows more than she's saying. Blanchett gives Lou a sly charm and a hint of danger, proving that even when she's not playing a villain outright, she still brings that thrilling unpredictability. Even when Cate Blanchett plays a character on the side of good, she can still tap into something dark. In The Fellowship of the Ring, her brief transformation as Galadriel when offered the One Ring is one of the most haunting scenes in the entire trilogy. Her voice deepens, her face shifts, and for a moment, she becomes a being of terrible power. She's not a villain, but in that flash, you believe she could become one. That single moment, short as it is, shows just how easily Blanchett can walk the line between grace and absolute destruction. What sets Blanchett apart from other actors who play villains is how real her characters feel. She doesn't rely on cliches. There's no overacting, no cartoonish evil. Instead, her villains have purpose. They believe in what they're doing, and that belief makes them all the more frightening. Blanchett gives each antagonist a sense of history. You feel like these characters existed long before the film started. Whether it's Hela's hunger for power, Marissa's cold professionalism, or Lou's sly unpredictability, every role is layered. There's always something going on beneath the surface. She also knows how to use silence and stillness to her advantage. While other villains shout or threaten, Blanchett can unsettle you with just a glance or a slight smile. It's the kind of menace that doesn't need to be loud to be effective. She creates characters who don't just oppose the hero, they shift the entire tone of the story. And perhaps most impressively, she seems to enjoy it. Not in a campy way, but in a deeply focused, almost theatrical sense. She plays evil not as something chaotic, but as something controlled and powerful. That control is what makes her villains unforgettable. When Cate Blanchett plays a villain, or even just flirts with the idea, everything changes. The scene bends around her. The heroes look smaller. The stakes feel higher. Whether she's a goddess, a spy, or a thief, she brings the same quiet authority and dark charisma that pulls you in. Her villains aren't just evil. They're smart, controlled, and strangely compelling. They don't need to scream to be terrifying. They simply exist, and that's enough. Blanchett doesn't steal scenes, she transforms them. And when she walks off screen, you're left wondering if the real danger wasn't in the plot, but in how much you enjoyed watching her.